1 in 5 ultra-rich Indians are planning to migrate overseas. Well, it's the money that's talking here, and we decode why the uber-rich are looking at better avenues outside India. Canada's Liberal Party bars MP Chandra Arya from the Prime Minister's race. Reports indicate that Liberals have revoked the candidature of Arya over his India or alleged India links. Indian fisherman dies by suicide allegedly in Karachi prison. Indian fisherman was jailed in the Pakistani jail since 2022. This is not the first instance where such deaths have taken place in mysterious circumstances. US President Donald Trump places 25% tariffs on auto imports. Tariffs on all cars that are not made in the US. These will be effective from the 2nd of April. All right, on to our first story on the show. Russia and India are aiming to take their bilateral ties and elevate them from their present status. And for this, President Vladimir Putin is set to visit India soon. Russian Foreign Minister Sergey Lavrov confirmed and stated that arrangements are underway for President Putin's visit to India, though he did not disclose the specific dates or the months that this trip is likely to take place. The invitation for this visit was extended by Prime Minister Modi during his trip to Russia last year, and this will mark President Putin's first visit since the onset of the Ukraine conflict in 2022 February. The visit is expected to advance Putin's new economic roadmap for 2030. So what all could be on the agenda in terms of defense ties, in terms of economic partnerships, common minimum programs, whether it is in terms of the Indo-Pacific or several other areas, technology being another common area. Let's get in Mohammad Ghazali to fill us in with what all could be the top priorities for this visit and how significant it will be for the India-Russia relationship. Ghazali, you're on mute. Okay, I believe there was a technical glitch there. Let's get in Professor Anuradha Chinoy, International Affairs expert, former Dean of the Center for Russian and Central Asian Studies at the SIS at JNU. Always a pleasure to have you, ma'am. Talk to us about the significance of this visit. Comes at a time when Russia-India relationship is also being elevated due to many factors, geopolitical being one of them.
Absolutely. Number one, I think Russia and India and President Putin and Foreign Minister Sergey Lavrov have both over the past 2 years have said that this strategic partnership with India is extremely important to them. They're actually very grateful that India took the kind of stand it did of being neutral in during the what they call the special military operations. India did not kind of criticize them overtly in the United Nations or when they were, sort of temporary members of the Security Council. They continued trade, bilateral visits, and overall, the Indian political class and the Indian leadership have understood why this special military operation took place. They understood. And so I think these ties are on an upswing. And there are several things that are likely to be on the agenda. Now, I mean, I can
absolutely. I'm going to come to you about the defense partnership in it, but I want to quickly rope in my colleague Mohammad Ghazali back with us to talk more about the specifics of this visit, when it could happen, anything specific in terms of the agenda that's lined up. Tell us more.
See, Gauri, today Dr. Jaishankar also participated in an Indo-Russia summit wherein Mr. Lavrov, the foreign minister of Russia, had announced that how Mr. Putin is scheduled to come here. The dates are not announced yet, but it is going to be later in this year. And Dr. Jaishankar said that emerging areas of collaboration such as trade, technology, agriculture, pharmaceuticals, connectivity, and the digital economy could be the new points of collaboration. We know that how, as the professor was explaining, that how Russia has been our very close defense partner, and all this while, when the West and US were criticizing India for engaging with Russia, while everybody was calling for its sanctions, India continued its trade. India continued with its ties with Russia. And Prime Minister Modi also happens to be the only leader from the global south who could talk to Mr. Putin and Mr. Zelensky both. Mr. Putin himself have said on many occasions that how India could play the role of a peacemaker or could bring both the parties to the table. So considering all this and the kind of bonhomie Mr. Modi enjoys with Mr. Putin, it is going to be a very significant visit. Last year in July, Mr. Modi visited Russia, and we had the Indo-Russia summit there, and that summit will yet again be hosted here in India once Mr. Putin visits later this year.
All right, let's leave it there. Mohammad Ghazali joining us to connect the dots for us. Professor Chandra, you heard what Ghazali was telling us in terms of the context of this visit, why it's significant. But I want to understand from you the geopolitical factors apart, defense and economic, both aspects of the India-Russia relationship are extremely important. Where do you see the priorities lie, and what would you be looking out for when this visit takes place?
Well, look, there are several things. Number one, defense. Defense, I think Russia has proved itself that it has very superior kind of technology, and the world has witnessed it during this war. India takes 36% of its defense needs from Russia, which has declined because India has diversified and is also buying weapons from France and England and the US, etc. But this 36% is a solid amount. And the other thing is that India and Russia have these joint productions, which have been very successful, like the BrahMos, the T-90 tanks, etc., where there has been transfer of technology which doesn't come from other countries. So high-end technology is what Russia gives to India, and India benefits from that, and both have benefited. So they're exporting, for example, military technologies to Philippines and others.
Yes.
So that's one. Second, on trade, I think Prime Minister Modi himself has said that this trade needs to go up. This is a weak point, and there is an asymmetry on it. We are importing much more because our gas imports from Russia have increased massively by something like 40% in 1 year, because we were able to get cheap Russian gas.
Yes.
The crude, and then re-export it after refining it.
Indeed.
So India has been a beneficiary, but that is likely to continue because I've seen that the 10-year contracts have been signed on this. So it's not just in the past, it goes into the future.
Absolutely.
The third, Russia has accumulated a lot of Indian rupees because we are exporting so much hydrocarbons, and they want to invest it here, but a process has to be put in place. Of course, there are the Vostro accounts, so there are Russian banks,
yes,
a Sberbank, which are functional here because of RBI has given this.
Yes.
Several countries have these Vostro accounts, but because of sanctions, there have been fears of Indian companies, rightly so, because
Indeed.
they feared this. But you can see there is a reset happening in
Absolutely.
India, in US, Russia. So this is going to benefit India a lot.
Lifting of those sanctions is, of course,
and
going
if the
to
reset happens.
Absolutely, pave the way for more collaboration between Russia and India. Thanks so much, Professor Chenoy, for speaking to us on that. Shifting focus now and talking more about trade. Well, Donald Trump has announced 25% tariffs on imported cars that will be effective from 2nd of April. So brace yourself for more taxes, and these levies mark an escalation in Donald Trump's trade war against top US trading partners and allies. It includes Mexico, Canada being among the biggest automotive suppliers to the US. President Trump said the measure would lead to tremendous growth for the domestic American industry. He's promised that it would spur jobs, it would bring in investments. But the fact is that these duties would prompt companies to manufacture in the US is only part of the premise. The fact is that it will also increase costs because the suppliers will have to factor in those additional levies. What happens then? Is it going to be the customer who will pay in the end, the American customer, or will there be more back and forth, or will there be a greater trade war? Nobody has answers to that because things are only escalating. But European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen described the move as bad for businesses and, well, worse for consumers. Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney labelled it a direct attack on Canadian workers. Remember, it's also something that violates the trade pacts that America has signed with Canada, with South Korea, and with several others. Tesla CEO Elon Musk also said that the impact of these tariffs will be felt by his company, Tesla, and it will not be an insignificant amount. So how does this impact auto industry around the world? How does this impact India? I'm going to talk more on that, but first I want to play out these important sound bites for you.
But this is very exciting to me. This is the automobile industry, and this will continue to spur growth like you haven't seen. Before I was elected, we were losing all of our plants that were being built in Mexico and Canada and other places. Now those plants largely have stopped, and they're moving them to our country.
President Trump announced 25% tariffs against our auto industry. And this is a direct attack, to be clear, a direct attack on the very workers that I stood in front of, uniform workers I stood in front of this morning at the Ambassador Bridge.
All right, it's a power pack panel that will be joining me today to talk about the tariffs and their impact. But first I want to put forth those big questions that we always ask, which is, and let's play them out for our viewers to know what all is at stake here. So the first question that I'm going to be asking is, who will face the brunt of Donald Trump's latest levies? Who really is it going to come back to bite the most? Secondly, will India retaliate against these tariffs? Remember, the trade tariffs are never a one-way street, so will we also be retaliating against it? Trump loyalist Musk's Tesla is also hurt by these levies. So what's the kind of impact that Tesla will have to brace itself for? Next, will these tariffs strain the ties that America has with its allies? Japan, South Korea, all are very large players in the automotive global supply chain. Will it impact their relationships? And will stock markets now recover from the tariff impact? They've braced and sort of cushioned some of it, but is there more bloodbath likely to happen because of that? Let's get into Dhawan from the auto industry, Professor Santosh Mehrotra, as well as Prateek Bansal to understand the stakes and how much can happen from here on. I want to start with Professor Mehrotra. A quick request from all of you, please. We need to keep the answers short so that we can cover as much ground as possible. Professor Mehrotra, let me start with you. As things stand right now, Donald Trump has come good on his tariff threats, one may say. And 25% is a very large number simply because the base auto rate in the US is 2.5%. So look at the rate hikes that he's talking about. What do you expect the impact of this could be?
The impact will be very significant. The US is the world's largest car importer and consumer. And you know that society is actually so heavily dependent upon automobiles. It's not a very railways dependent society, which is tragic for climate change, which all of which we are all paying the price of that. Never mind that, the fact of the matter is that the short-term and medium-term impact on the consumer and the economy in the US is going to be very adverse. It's going to drive up inflation rates generally and drive up the price of cars. As far as the India is concerned, we don't export any cars to them. We are an exporter of auto parts. But we are not even the biggest exporter of auto parts to them. The imports of auto parts come to about $197 billion, but those are led by Mexico, Canada, and China. That's according to the Commerce Department. So the immediate impacts will be US inflation will be up, car prices already at a time of US inflation being high for the last several years is going to be problematic for the consumers. And finally, the American economy is going to continue to pay, and within 3 years, Mr. Trump will be on his way out.
Okay.
Because he will
So
have to
I'm
talk
not
about-
going to be most bothered about American consumer. I'm going to be first bothered about the Indian industry, because that's what I want to focus on. And Mr. Dhawan, let me ask you this, that the auto component industry in India does supply to the global auto hubs, whether it's South Korea, whether it's China and several others. How much do you think will be the impact there?
Well, when you are talking of having competition with the other countries also supplying accessories and parts, then obviously there is going to be a lot of impact on our Indian manufacturers who would be exporting these parts. Although when you are talking of such heavy tariffs regarding Mr. Trump, we are not importing any cars from US that we should be bothered about that. But our main concern is that the industry which is supplying parts and bits, they should not get, anyway, they should not be let down.
Okay, Mr. Bansal, I want to understand from you that every second sentence coming out of any of these countries that are impacted by these tariff hikes is that, it violates WTO, it is against the pacts that we've signed with the US in the past, and so on and so forth. What's the value of these agreements? And is there any possible policy recourse? I won't use the word legal recourse, but any policy recourse that any of these countries have, besides, of course, launching trade wars on their end?
So, Corey, we really don't have any sort of, policy recourse as such. I mean, all these agreements were executed in good faith on the basis to sort of promote the trade between both the countries. Apart from this tit for tat situation wherein, we have been seeing that a tariff will also be reciprocated by another tariff by other countries, Canada, Mexico, India, whatever. So, I doubt that you can take any legal or a policy recourse as such, challenging these kind of, tariffs, which
not
US
even
has
at the
now
WTO? Not even at the WTO or any other place?
You can file a complaint, but ultimately they are well within their rights to impose these kind of duties. And let me just give you an example. If you see in this budget, the India, after Mr. PM met Mr. Trump in the US, India slashed the customs duty on the luxury, on the
Harley
import
Davidson.
of luxury cars and Harley, and as well as luxury cars which are above $40,000, and significantly. I mean, for as far as motorcycles are concerned, I think they slashed from 50 to 40%, and for cars it was slashed from 125% to 70%. So it is well within their prerogative to sort of protect their domestic market by way of sort of increasing these kind of duties, to put these kind of trade barriers. There are many other measures, in fact, if you see, India is being adopting to protect the domestic industry. I mean, we all must have heard about quality control orders, which our commerce department has brought in. So all
these trade pacts are not worth the paper that they are signed on, unfortunately. And the leaders can keep saying what they want, but as things stand, there's a 25% tariff, and nobody knows what's next in terms of the ongoing tariff wars. On that note, I'm going to slip into a very short break, come back with lots more on the other side. Stay with us.
Sitting quietly while your car is made all shiny. Downtime can be just fine too. Ready meal is piping hot. Waterproof on the loo. Just enjoy your back tattoo. Tea break, face break, maybe even watch the ad break. Sometimes it's not time for some tombola, right? It's enjoying lasagna time, chilling with a book time, or time to visit your nan time. Put the phone down.
Today, criminals can use AI to invade your online privacy. Norton VPN Ultimate. Advanced tech for advanced threats.
Have we run out of milk?
Make more room for beauty. The hottest new arrivals join all your favourites at Boots.
Don't worry, found it.
This is an important message for people living with diabetes from people living with diabetes.
When I was experiencing the symptoms of diabetes, I didn't know what was going on.
You go on the internet and it's full of horror stories. You don't know where to begin and you don't know what to believe.
I didn't understand about carbs, I didn't understand about blood glucose levels.
I was scared and I was worried.
I didn't understand diabetes full stop.
That's why the support I get as a Diabetes UK member is so important.
You can become a Diabetes UK member too. To join us now, just call 0800 144 5406 and become a member today for just £3 a month. When you do, you'll receive a practical guide specific to your type of diabetes and a copy of Balance magazine 4 times a year. Balance is filled with news and inspiring real-life stories from members just like you. And you'll receive regular emails and vital updates that will help you feel informed and supported. Plus, you'll help support research that could lead to better treatments for all types of diabetes.
Membership makes life better because you're not alone anymore.
Call 0800 144 5406 or go online to become a Diabetes UK member for just £3 a month, because membership can help you learn to live better with diabetes.
The Sharps half-price spring sale is now on. Get Sharps bespoke fitted furniture for every room, from bedrooms to home offices and living spaces. Many ranges are now half price, including our best-selling Shaker range. Our exclusive Space Plus system means twice the storage space of freestanding wardrobes. Plus, you get our industry-beating 15-year guarantee. Don't miss the Sharps half-price spring sale. Book your free home design visit today at sharps.co.uk.
Alright, I'm now going to turn my attention to Pakistan, where an Indian fisherman has allegedly died by suicide at a prison in Karachi's Malir area. The report claimed that the Indian fishermen are often detained for illegal fishing, as some maritime boundaries are poorly marked. Many boats lack the technology to determine their exact location. But what really happened with this fisherman was that due to these conditions, he was picked up by the Pakistani security forces and Pakistani authorities, and he was found dead. There are suspicious circumstances, and there is more than enough, room for doubt that he hung himself, because that's what it looks like, that there is enough and more doubt. He was arrested on February 2022, and what I want to know now is that this is not an isolated case. There are many such cases and instances where Indian fishermen have crossed over due to poorly demarcated boundaries. What happens, and is this another layer of why the India-Pakistan relationship is so unpleasant on people-to-people level? Fakhar Yousafzai, a Pakistani journalist, joins me to talk more on that. Fakhar, good to have you on the show. The fact is, it's an unfortunate incident, but it's not an isolated incident, is it?
You're absolutely right. Actually, this fisherman was arrested in 2022, almost 3 years ago. This is unfortunate, and I think so both the countries should think about it, and especially whenever you arrest someone, the fisherman, by the Pakistani authorities or by the Indian authorities, of course you should provide a good atmosphere to them. If they are in prison, but it doesn't mean they are human. If you are not providing a good atmosphere or a place where they can live easily, then why you are arresting them? A fisherman, I think so, this is not a crime if someone cross a line where he is going for a fishing and you arrest them. I think so both the countries should set on this issue. After 6 months and 1 year, we listen about that Pakistan releasing 30 or 20 fishermen, and from other side India released 50 or 40 fishermen from New Delhi via Wagah border. I don't know why you are treating like this to each other.
A lot of people believe that these innocent fishermen are actually used by Pakistani authorities as bargaining chips. There are several instances when they've even completed their sentences but still have not been released because they're being used as bargaining chips.
You're right. For example, if we are talking now about this person who died and who committed suicide, according to the jail superintendent, Mr. Hossain, as he said. But why he is committing a suicide? Of course, he was not able to live there further. For 3 years, he was in prison. I think so. What was his crime? He was a fisherman. He was not a spy. He was not a soldier. He was fighting for India, and he crossed the border, and Pakistani authority arrest them. I think so. We shouldn't use. I'm talking about the Pakistan. We shouldn't use the ordinary person for bargaining or something. What we are gaining from this? If we arrest the 50 or 100 or more than that, the fishermen, and we keep them in a prison, what we are gaining from that? From that, what we are gaining? I don't think so that we can gain something from that. Of course, we should focus on the issues internally, as well as we should focus on the issues with India.
Yes.
But not. Yeah.
Indeed, Fakhar. Thank you so much for that refreshing perspective, candid as always, and refreshing. Thanks much for joining me. And on that note, I'm going to slip into a very short break, come back and talk more about an Indian-origin MP from Canada, Chandra Arya, and why he's not in the Canadian leadership race anymore. Stay with me.
In today's interconnected world, India's voice is more crucial than ever. When India speaks, the world listens. At NDTV World, we are that voice, bringing you intelligent and insightful news from India and beyond. From geopolitics and diplomacy to economic shifts, migrations, tech disruptions, and the stories of our diaspora. We cover the news that shapes our global future. NDTV World, your new home for global news, is here.
In terms of the strategic relationship and the intelligence arrangements between India and the United States, to what extent is it premised on perhaps an expansionist or an expanding China and the Asia-Pacific region?
You know, the ties between our two countries, the United States and India, go very, very far back. And so what we're continuing to see is a strengthening of that partnership and recognizing that the mutual interests of both of our countries are centered around peace, prosperity, freedom, and security. So now as we see a new administration coming in with President Trump's leadership in the United States, of course, Prime Minister Modi's long-standing leadership here in India, we have two leaders of our two great countries who are very good friends and who are very focused on how we can strengthen those shared objectives and those shared interests.
The other big international talking point is obviously the situation between Russia and Ukraine, and we're all optimistic, and I've covered the war 3 times. Be that as it may, if President Putin doesn't come on the table with the peace agreement which has been proposed by the United States, can Washington indefinitely keep arming Ukraine and, in a sense, allowing them to continue their fight?
President Trump is seeing this ongoing conflict with very clear eyes. And he has made his position and his priority very clear, which is to bring about an end to this war. So he is focused on peace. The negotiations have just begun. He's looking forward to success in those negotiations, not for himself, but for the cause of peace and to stop the killing of innocent and taking of innocent lives there. So he has the best negotiators working with both the Ukrainians and with Russia and with Putin. And we look forward to seeing the continued progress that we've already seen over a very short period of time. I think it's important to point out that under the previous administration, during which this war began, there was no effort at all towards peace.
Turning attention to Canada, where the Liberal Party has revoked Indian-origin MP Chandra Arya's bid to run for party leadership and his nomination for the Ottawa Nepean constituency due to what is being seen as alleged ties to the Indian government. The Liberal Party has not disclosed the reasons behind barring Arya, who's actually a three-term MP, from participating in the recent leadership race or from running again in his constituency. But it seems that Arya, who visited India in August, met Prime Minister Modi, did not inform the Canadian government about his trip, despite the ongoing freeze in bilateral relations. But is that a good enough reason for somebody, a three-term MP, to actually be stripped of his powers or his chances to fight again? The Canadian Security Intelligence Service had in fact briefed the government on Arya's alleged close ties. Nothing, however, has been proven. These are hearsay and allegations. So the decision to in fact disqualify him was reportedly made solely by the Liberal Party, and the MP has rejected all these allegations. Why? Because he has spoken about the Khalistani issue time and again in Canada, and something he feels he's now being penalized for by the Liberal Party. The Khalistani issue is important, significant in Canada. The Sikhs are 2% of the population there, the largest outside of India, and which is why the several segments or the sections within the Sikh population who subscribe to the Khalistani thinking seem to have been upset by Chandra Arya. I want to quickly put out the big questions that I want to ask my guest joining me this evening on this issue. First up, was Arya banned over anti-Khalistan comments? That's the single most important question. Is that the reason why he's out of the race? The second important question, it was Justin Trudeau who really led the tirade against India. He's out, but the Liberals continue to back anti-India elements. Or is that the case? Next, will Canada actually hold free and fair polls? That's a very important question, simply because if voices of dissent are being trampled, then what's the fairness that one is talking about? Next question, will this hinder and come in the way of recovering India-Canada ties? They're on the upswing, but could they be impacted by these decisions that the Liberal Party is taking? Let's get in Professor Swaran Singh as well as Manjur Seth, former ambassador. Thank you so much, both of you, for joining me on India Global. Professor Singh, let me start with you. At the end of the day, one can question a particular political party's decision to give or not give ticket to any candidate. But it seems that the reasons for stripping the possibility of his candidature is the fact that he spoke against the Khalistani issue.
Thank you, Gauri, for having me on your program. It is indeed strange, it is unusual, it is unprecedented that such a summary trial kind of situation is being seen by Liberal Party in Canada. As you mentioned, three-time MP from 2015. Apparently, there has been no due process of any investigation. There is no formal explanation as to what has caused this. And suddenly, the Prime Minister, Carney, announcing that he's the one who's going to contest from a Nepean constituency in Ottawa is very strange. But let me also add that this is something which normally happens, and it's not just the Liberal Party. From 2019, 2021, the CSIS, which is Canada Security Intelligence Services, have recently again reiterated the fear that countries like India and China and potentially Russia, Pakistan, Iran could be influencing through disinformation elections.
Exactly, you made a valid point, and I was coming to that, but those are wild allegations. Those are completely wild allegations rejected by India, and in the midst of that, you have a specific person representing the Indo-Canadian community there, and a very important member of, well, the Hindu community in the Indo-Canadian community there. And Manju said, do you think that he's being targeted for his faith, as he says?
I think faith may be one aspect, but also the fact that he, did not or does not support the pro-Khalistani elements within the party and in Canada, and he has spoken out against him. I think that could also be a factor. And faith alone, I don't think is the only factor. And also because they are saying that they've been, the previous under the Trudeau administration also and the Trudeau government, they have been saying that India has been interfering in their elections. And I think, these kind of allegations are very unbelievable, but somehow the narrative is being built and reinforced by the Canadians within their own, and they're saying the security agencies have also done it, the Nijjar case. All these things point to a certain narrative building as well. And I think this particular incident where Indian-origin Canadian MP Mr. Chandra Arya has been debarred from even the leadership race and now even from his own constituency. So it is something which needs to be, I think, investigated by other agencies and by the Canadian government again with some kind of independent agency.
Professor Singh, which brings me to ask you just how important the Khalistani vote bank is in Canada, that weeks before the election, to ensure that that Liberal Party placates and keeps the Khalistani vote bank on its side, it is taking these measures against Chandra Arya.
There is no doubt that NDP, being a coalition partner of Liberal Party, for Liberal Party remains very significant, and therefore one has seen a large number of examples of sympathizers in Liberal Party, starting from the very top, the Pierre family, the Trudeau family, themselves being very closely connected to this entire movement. The kind of license virtually given to some of these elements to do things which are absolutely unacceptable in any civilized nation, in any democracy. So that is very clear. But apparently, if you saw the statement coming from Jagmeet Singh two days ago, he believes that this time his party is going to face enormous challenge. So there is a sense of possibility of voters rejecting his party this time or not supporting the way it did last time. But it's also interesting to see that media, the Globe and Mail, for example, only yesterday mentioned how the kind of South Asian community was raising funds, even for the other Conservative Party, Poilievre, as a candidate, and he had to go out and clarify. He had to say, I'm not receiving any such thing and I'm winning elections on my own. And that
let me ask that, Professor Singh, let me ask that to Manju Seth as well, because, at the end of the day, the Khalistani vote bank will also decide that how much will the India-Canada relationship recover, because Mark Carney may not be Justin Trudeau, but he is representing the Liberal Party. And if he comes back as the next Prime Minister of Canada, what do you think will be his outlook towards the Indo-Canadian relationship in the backdrop of keeping the Khalistani vote bank happy?
Yes, he will have to do a kind of balancing act, because though he has spoken immediately on taking office that he will rebuild and reset the India-Canadian ties, and there's also talk of appointing new high commissioners in each other's country. So he has spoken of that because he does understand that the India-Canada relationship is important, and India is important for Canada's economy. And I think he will try and do a balancing act. But yes, as you very rightly said, the party is dependent on its Khalistani, pro-Khalistani elements in its support base and in the coalition partners. So I think he will have to do a balancing act. And this might impact the relationship to some extent, but given that he has spoken about resetting ties and rebuilding the ties with India, he might be able to pull off a kind of balancing act and yet manage a good relationship with India. But that we have to remain, and it remains to be seen, and we don't know whether he will come back into power, because Pierre Poilievre also appears to be having a fairly good sort of chances of winning the election this time. But we don't know. We'll have to wait and see.
We'll have to wait and see. It's April 28th, so it's not really very far. It's the minimum amount as per the Canadian Constitution, which is 37 days. That's the amount of campaigning that the Prime Minister has really left this to. But Professor Singh, I want to bring in another aspect of this, which is that what Chandra Arya is talking about here, that he is being targeted for speaking out against the Khalistanis, the fact that there are now voices in the Canadian administration which are making wild allegations about quote-unquote India influence in this election. Let me then ask you about the fact that in terms of the stakes here, what are we really looking at? Because it's not just about Mr. Arya, it's also about the entire Indo-Canadian community, how significant they are in these elections. We've spoken about the Khalistanis, but what about the Indo-Canadian community?
I think it's a very bad example, the way Chandra Arya has been treated in case he's finally disallowed to contest any election, either for the nomination of leadership role or in his constituency, which apparently is clear. Now, Mark Carney wants to contest from Nepean constituency, as he's already announced. This will send a very terrible signal that how the state itself could be pandering to certain extremist sentiments, whereas a very large number of critical talent that Indian origin people or Indian citizens provide to Canada's development and stability and security are not just limited to Sikhs, and Sikhs are not all Khalistanis in that sense.
Sikhs are not all Khalistanis, and Sikhs are not the only Indo-Canadian community here. Quickly, Mr. Manju said, I'm running out of time.
Absolutely. I think they understand, but they don't understand. This is what I believe, because the way the pro-Khalistani elements have been able to steal the limelight, so to speak, and be in the limelight through their anti-India and their High Commission and protests against the Hindu community, etc. The way they have vandalizing temples, etc. They've managed to remain in the limelight and create a narrative of an anti-Indian kind of narrative they've been able to create, and the rest of the community, the Indo-Canadian community, which is not supporters of the Sikhs, who are not supporters of the Khalistani movement, and other Hindus and other communities from India, from other religious communities. I think they do not support this kind of thing, but the Canadian leadership, it appears, is not very clear that this particular element or this segment does not represent the entire Indo-Canadian community.
Of course it doesn't. Of course it doesn't. But the problem arises when the leaders start pandering to this more than any other specific community. Thank you so much, both of you, for joining me on this very important story that we're going to keep coming back to, given the fact the Canadian elections are on the 28th of April. But bottom line, viewers, on this is that the Liberal Party's ousting of MP Chandra Arya is a blatant attempt to silence the voices of the Indo-Canadian community, undermine their representation in Parliament. Despite his 3 terms of service, Arya is being punished not for any wrongdoing, but for standing up for values of Hindu Canadians and opposing the Khalistani movement. The party's claim of foreign interference is nothing but a thinly veiled excuse to sideline a duly elected representative who dare to challenge their narrative. In their desperation to appease extremists, the Liberals are sacrificing the very principles of democracy and free expression they always espouse. And on that note, I'm going to slip into a very short break. More on the other side. Stay with us.
Quidco gives you cashback every time you shop on over 5,000 brands. It always pays to Quidco. Sign up and start saving today. Visit quidco.com.
It feels good knowing that your future's in hand. Evlo can offer you a loan from £1,000 to £15,000. Get your conditional decision in minutes.
With retirement round the corner, I want to spend more time with my family and less time worrying about the numbers. Which reminds me.
Welcome to British Seniors, the UK's #1 rated provider of over 50s life insurance.
Hi, I'd like a quick quote.
No problem. We're proud to offer our seniors lifetime guarantee. With 100% of claims having been paid, we guarantee your premiums will never go up and that you'll speak to one of our specialists in the UK. UK residents aged 50 to 80 are guaranteed to be accepted. Depending on your age, your loved ones can get a cash payout up to £10,000.
And that money could help with funeral costs or even as a gift for the grandkids. I'll do it.
Plus, when you sign up, you'll receive a £135 gift card and free 24/7 GP advice and health services.
You got them all right. That's amazing.
Be proud to protect your loved ones with British Seniors. To get a free quote today, call our UK team on 0800 977 5808 or visit britishseniors.co.uk.
I'm in. Okay, now, you can have a great first day. I promise, right?
Your donations helped 3D print his heart to guide his surgery and saved his life with a groundbreaking innovation. And the future breakthrough that could cure her is closer than ever. Help us turn science fiction into reality and save more lives like hers. Donate to the British Heart Foundation now.
I'll fix him, love. Poor pet. Just shows you never know what's going to happen. Which reminds me, I need to protect the life we've built. That's why I'm looking into smart family life insurance.
Hi, I'd like a quick quote, please.
OK. You can choose a benefit amount up to £750,000, depending on your age. If you're a UK resident aged 18 to 64, you can apply with just a few health and lifestyle questions. For £250,000 of cover, the price starts at just £14.77 a month.
That's less than I thought. And it could help my husband with the mortgage.
Just like families, not all life insurance is the same. That's why we offer the Smart Family Guarantee.
That's good to know.
You'll also receive a 100% advance in the event of terminal illness and 10% cash back on your first year's premiums. That's the Smart Cashback. Plus, you'll also get your choice of a £125 gift card.
Protect the life you've built the smart way. To get a free quote today, call our specialist UK team on 0800 977 5753 or visit smartinsurance.co.uk.
Now, 1 in 5 ultra-high net worth individuals in India are either currently in the process to move abroad or are planning to migrate soon, according to a report by Kotak Private Banking. The report, titled Top of the Pyramid, India Decoding the Ultra HNI, reveals that these individuals intend to reside permanently in their chosen host country while retaining their Indian citizenship. Now, why are they looking to do so? Is it mostly professionals? What are the reasons for them to do so? Why are entrepreneurs and inheritors not choosing this path? Which is the age group that is most inclined to migrate? And most importantly, what are the factors that are contributing to this? I'm going to get an expert to talk more about this, because this is something that impacts everyone, from policymakers to those in the government to those in business as well. At the end of the day, why are rich Indians looking to move out? That's something I want to now get an Andre Boyko to understand more on, in terms of the significance of this trend. So thank you so much for speaking to me on India Global today. It's a worrying trend. It's a worrying trend for me that our HNIs are wanting to move out. Could you help us with some statistics as to what is the scale at which we are looking at this trend?
Okay. Due to the statistics of Ministry of Foreign Affairs of India, over 2 lakh of Indians gave up their citizenship in 2023. So we can say that key motivation in this is they're looking for better lifestyle, better education, healthcare, business expansion. It's especially for NHI global mobility through the strongest passport. Yes.
In fact, the report clearly says that a favorable business environment, legal and taxation policies, access to global mobility enable these individuals to explore some of these newer areas, and that's the reason why they are pursuing investment opportunities worldwide. Which are the countries or destinations that are now being preferred by ultra HNIs from India?
Okay, there are a few of them. So it's France, it's Portugal, it's Caribbean countries. So it's like kind of Grenada, Grenadian citizenship, Antigua, Barbuda, Dominican citizenship, also Malta.
The other important aspect of the report also says that those in the working age, that is 31 to 40, are very inclined to move out. This is the age group which is looking to build businesses, looking to create something. So ideally, India would want individuals who are rich in this age group to build their businesses in India, isn't it? Why are the youth attracted to go overseas?
Basically, they continue to build business in India because it's not a good idea to move your business from India abroad. So it's more about to be free in the world. So you can live 3 months there, 3 months there, 6 months there. So and after COVID, the main trend among the rich people is like global mobility.
And while global mobility, of course, is preferred by ultra-rich people, what are the costs involved in terms of uprooting yourself from one geography to another, whether in terms of business or whether it's in terms of personal investments? What are the kind of costs and timing that we are looking at?
Okay, it depends of the program, of course, and if you want to get, for example, residence permit in France, it starts from 20,000 euros per family. So Malta citizenship is 750,000 euros. This is European passport in from 15 to 18 months. Portugal golden visa, and also Caribbean countries where you can get citizenship in $150,000, and for example Grenadian citizenship and $350,000 with investment return after the 5 years, and you will get passport in from 3 to 6 months.
Yes, even Trump is trying to come out with the gold card. But I'll tell you in terms of numbers why this is important for me and for our viewers, which is that the number of ultra HNIs is in fact expected to increase from 2.8 to 4.3 lakh, and the kind of wealth they have is likely to increase from 232 lakh crore to 359 lakh crore. You're talking about a lot of wealth and a lot of wealthy people. India would want them to stay here, spend money here, be part of the economy here. Are there some measures that we can take to stop people from going overseas, as in make India a preferred destination for them?
I would say that nobody stopped to spending money in India or to move forever from India, and this revocation of the citizenship, it's more pursued by that want to be I don't know, that they get the Indian overseas card and that they are continuing business in India. So nobody moved their business out of India because there is no sense of it. So in India, the cost of manufacturing is less, so all costs are less, even cost of labor. And India, this is one of the fast-growing countries in the world. So it can be a kind of mistake that their people move away forever. So it's not like this.
Okay, that's a very positive note. But finally, I want to ask you this, Andriy, which is that the report shows that there are more professionals moving abroad than entrepreneurs. While some may evaluate and see this as a brain drain, we would want our tech experts, the big minds in marketing, big minds in technology to stay here rather than go overseas. Would you also read this in the same way, a brain drain trend?
Yeah, yes, also. On the other hand, I think that it takes some time. And maybe in a couple of years, when the economy become maybe more flourish for them, they will come back, because now the salaries in India are growing. Personally, me, I live in India half of my time. So, and I like India, so I believe that people come back here.
All right, let's leave it there. Andriy, thank you so much for joining me on a trend that personally disappoints me, because I would want the rich people to be here in India and part of the growth story. All right, on that note, shifting focus now to breaking news coming in on the broadcast. India's Lok Sabha has passed the Immigration and Foreigners Bill 2025 after a discussion on the proposed law that will modernize and consolidate India's immigration laws. Junior Home Minister Nityanand Rai introduced the bill today on behalf of Home Minister Amit Shah. During the discussion today, Home Minister said India welcomes those who come here to help in development, but those who come to create trouble, whether it's the Rohingyas or the Bangladeshi illegal immigrants, will face strong action. Let's get in my colleague Arjun Samar Mahendran to fill us in with the specifics of this bill and why it's so important.
Well, Gauri, Union Home Minister Amit Shah has categorically sought to dispel the misinformation regarding the Immigration and Foreigners Bill 2025. Let me underline what he said. He said the bill was designed with the intention to monitor those who come to India with wrong intentions and not to scuttle the stay or visit of these persons who have no ill intentions. Now, after our discussion followed by Amit Shah's address, the Lok Sabha has just right now passed the Immigration and Foreigners Bill 2025. Now, Shah's remarks also assume special significance in the light of the claims by opposition that some provisions of the bill might seek to streamline various services related to immigration and foreigners. They might even give arbitrary powers, but the Home Minister has cleared all of those doubts that the opposition has, and the Lok Sabha has cleared the bill right now. Now the bill goes to the upper house, as we all know, before being accorded into law. The Home Minister, Mr. Shah, has also added, as very important, that the immigration bill will also boost India's tourism sector in a big way.
Okay.
And it will, in fact, also be a testament to India's growth story and play a big role in helping the country to become, in fact, the third largest economy, Gauri.
All right, Arjun, we leave it there. Important because it modernizes and completely revolutionizes India's immigration laws. We leave it there. And on that note, completely timed out in this edition of India Global. Thanks so much for watching.
If your garage looks like this, you need Tougher Man. A leading supplier of shelving for your home or business. Assembly is quick, easy and boltless. Buy one bay from just $59.99, or you can get 3 bays from only $119.99, saving you nearly £60. Plus you get a 5-year Storelex steel guarantee. Order now at tougherman.co.uk.
Say hello to the UK's most personalised Mother's Day card. And now get 20% off all cards this Mother's Day. Moonpig.com.
Wouldn't life be so much easier if you could control your blinds at the touch of a button? With Ultra Smart Blinds from Appeal, there's no chains, cords or wiring, because these stylish blinds are driven by a rechargeable power pack. New Ultra Smart Blinds from Appeal, the intelligent solution for home shading.
Nothing beats a celebration. And at Tesco Mobile, we're ringing in 30 years of Club Card with deals like the Samsung Galaxy S25 Plus, with 25 gigs of data for just $43.99 a month with Club Card prices, saving you £270. Better yet, that price is frozen for the duration of your contract. And you can even bag a £30 Tesco gift card too. It pays to be connected. Search Tesco Mobile. Every little helps.
With Post Office Over 50s life cover, enjoy peace of mind knowing your family will receive a guaranteed payout when you're gone. UK resident 50 to 80, your guaranteed acceptance. No health checks and from just £1.15 a week. Plus free 24/7 GP access with the health and wellbeing benefit. Purchase and receive a £125 gift card for Amazon.co.uk, Tesco or M&S. Call Post Office on 0800 171 2211.
When someone you love is facing a terminal illness, there's only one chance to make sure final days aren't filled with pain and anxiety. One chance to say goodbye. And one chance for you to help give the best possible end-of-life care. Every 5 minutes, someone dies without the care they need. But this Great Daffodil Appeal is your chance to change that. We need your help to give urgent care. Care that protects someone's dignity, eases their loneliness, and gives them the best possible end of life, no matter the illness. Please support the Great Daffodil Appeal today to give £23 to help fund an hour of care Just call 0800 144 5565. Text NURSE to 70548 or search Marie Curie Daffodil today.
Family life. It's made of ups and downs and those little moments. But should the unthinkable happen to you? Life insurance from Legal & General can help look after monthly bills, the roof over their heads, childcare costs, and most importantly, your family. Because no one protects more families in the UK than us. Premiums start from £5 a month and they never rise. Plus there's a £100 gift card after you apply. Legal & General. Ensure life goes on.
This is NDTV. And you're watching NDTV 24/7.
Hello and welcome to the Southern View. I'm Veera Raghav. Lots lined up on the show this evening, including a special focus on the honey trap allegations in Karnataka and the big Mohanlal starter that's hit the theatres. But first, let's take you through the headlines we're tracking this hour. Allahabad High Court Bar Council chief tells NDTV that their demands are before the Chief Justice of India. They include a stay in transfer of controversial Judge Verma without withdrawal of administrative work and a criminal investigation and changes in the law to allow that. NHRC steps into the Chaitanya Kumari case, sends notices to top bureaucrats on the case of the 20-year-old nursing student who died 3 months after she attempted suicide. It's an NDTV impact. US President Donald Trump rages the tariff war and threatens larger tariffs. There are strong global reactions. The opposition in India demands that the government join the ranks with other global sane voices in opposing those tariffs. Well, first up this evening, a very quick update on the actor Rania Rao gold smuggling case. The Sessions Court in Bengaluru has denied her bail after hearing objections from the Directorate of Revenue Intelligence, which argued that the case was in a crucial stage and the accused could not be granted bail. Remember, Rania, the stepdaughter of a DGP rank officer in Karnataka, and another accused who's a US citizen who belongs to a noted business family in Bengaluru, were arrested by the DRI for smuggling gold into India from Dubai. My colleague Nihal Kidwai, who's been following that case very closely, joins us for more on this. Nihal, tell us the details that you have at the moment from the court proceedings.
In the court, the DRI objected Rania Rao's bail petition and said that if Rania Rao is granted bail at this stage, this may hamper the investigation because every day they are getting some leads. They had seized the mobile handset of A1, who is Rania Rao, A2, who is Tarun Raju, and on the basis of mobile handsets and other gadgets, they had got some lead, and after that a third accused, who is A3, Sahil Jain, has been arrested. He is from Bellary, and what the DRI alleged that Rania Rao used to physically smuggle the gold from abroad, and whenever the gold reached here, the money transaction happened through Hawala, and this was taken care of by A2, who is Tarun Raj. And once the gold reaches here, it was disposed of by A3, whose name is Sahil Jain, what I told you. So the DRI said that at this stage, if the bail is granted, this may hamper the investigation. The DRI also alleged that Sahil Jain had on the 11th of January this year had helped Rania Rao to dispose of the smuggled gold that she had brought from Dubai, around 14.5 kg. And not only that, the DRI has also got some leads where the DRI has found that on 2 other occasions directly Sahil Jain was involved in disposing of gold, and in such a situation she should not be granted bail. Now her legal team is trying to approach the High Court for the bail.
Right, it's a case that we'll keep a close watch. Thanks very much for those details, Nihal Kidwai. Now to our special focus this evening. A week after Karnataka Cabinet Minister K.N. Rajanna made a startling allegation on the floor of the State Assembly that he had unfoiled 2 bids to honey trap him, and that there were 48 influential leaders, including central leaders, officers, and others who were honey trapped in Karnataka, there is still no substantial information. In fact, there has been no concrete investigation set up. And only today, Minister Rajanna's son met the state's Director General of Police to submit a memorandum. However, there have been a series of political meetings, including between State Cabinet Minister Satish Jarkioli and Union Minister H.D. Kumaraswamy on the issue. Even a PIL was filed in the Apex Court alleging that there were some judges in that list of those who were honey-trapped. But the Apex Court dismissed that PIL, declaring the allegations as purely political. The questions now include, are these allegations purely a result of internal Congress rivalry? Is there more than what meets the eye as far as this case is concerned? What's next as far as the investigations itself are concerned? Joining me this evening, senior journalist KT Dakshinamurthy, managing editor of The Federal, Sanjay Sahai, former ADGP in Karnataka, Syed Asad Abbas, who supports the Congress, and Anand Gurumurthy of the BJP. My first question to you, Dakshin. You've pointed out in your articles, and other observers have stated this as well, that this honey trap allegation, as sensational as it sounds, having been made in the State Assembly, seems to reflect the internal power battle in the State Congress. Put this in perspective for us. What do you expect to come out of all these big noises that have been made around this case?
Okay, so as we speak now, the allegations are just that, mere allegations. But really what is intriguing about this whole thing and the way it has come out is that a minister makes a revelation in the assembly of all places, which is a little surprising, because he could have approached it in many different ways. He could have contacted the chief minister, his leader. They could have had a discussion within the government, and then they could have decided on a certain strategy, etc., etc. So, the fact that it just came up like that in the assembly of all places makes it intriguing. And though whether it is directly related to the infighting or not, we don't know, because investigation still has to be done. But it comes in the context of a continuous kind of a power struggle that's going on within the government between the chief minister, the supporters of the chief minister, and that of the deputy chief minister, D.K. Shivkumar. Whether that has anything to do with this, we don't know. But the thing is that it puts the government on the back foot, because this is not something very honorable that has been revealed in the assembly. And then it could have been, like I said again, what makes it intriguing and something, as major as this should have come out so suddenly, and without any kind of a warning, and in in a session, makes it, these are the ingredients that make it a little intriguing, and we don't know where it's all going to lead. But it's definitely not something that the government would have wanted. Since they're already on the back foot over many other issues, to add one more to this and something as sensational as this, it's not at all a good idea.
Okay. It's not at all a good idea, but for who, Dakshin? That's really the question. There are several players, several factions within. Somebody seems to have thought of it as a good idea to actually go and make that statement in the State Assembly. Now, who's behind that is really the question. Sanjay Sahai, before I get to Syed Abbas and to the BJP, the fact that an allegation of this nature has been made in the State Assembly, it's a week on. We still do not even have an FIR that's filed as far as the case is concerned, and there is no clarity on a concrete probe. The Supreme Court has dumped a PIL on this matter. Is this just political noise? Will anything ever come out of it? Or is this just the big open secret of Karnataka politics?
Yeah, I think Supreme Court has told with extreme amount of clarity that this is political nonsense. And till the time it is proven otherwise, we should take it as political nonsense. Somebody appearing somewhere from Jharkhand and getting so much interested about politics in Karnataka. And what politics in Karnataka? The underbelly of politics in Karnataka. I don't know what interest he had and why he got into it. The other very interesting part is, I was just going through an article which says, people say that there is a CD and pen drive factory in Karnataka, which means it is commercialized and weaponized. I have come to know that there are CDs and pen drives of 48 people available in the state. Now, I just can't make the head or tail out of it as to what is happening. And legislative immunity and parliamentary immunity has been used any number of times in this country for a variety of purposes. But for the purpose for which it is being used, even if it is political, it brings shame and disrepute first to the political class, and I dare say to the state itself. What has transpired in the last 8-10 days is to create smokescreen after smokescreen in which everybody is a stakeholder. So Mr. Rajan is a stakeholder, and whosoever you have been talking about, and your correspondent has been, the senior journalist has been talking about, it is not only intriguing, it seems to be a very well orchestrated intrigue. Whether it is because of politics, it is for whatever reason we are not aware of. We are not even aware of the fact that might be tomorrow. It might just happen that a couple of tapes are available. And this is being created as a backdrop for that exercise that I'm getting victimized and all that. And one point which I keep repeating in any of these discussions, only
They should not be honey trappable.
Honey trap.
Okay. So, Syed Asad Abbas, as you clap, somebody in the Congress seems to be orchestrating it. At least the allegations have been orchestrated by somebody in the Congress. Isn't this an extreme embarrassment for the party?
Veera Sahab, those are rumor mills working overtime. Those are allegations. I completely agree with Sanjay Sahab, and I've quoted him previously. I think the political class, there's a lot of accountability which comes in. They cannot be honey trappable and later say that, oh, we've been trapped and investigation and so on and so forth, cutting across party lines. Let us understand what the Supreme Court judge did to the PL filed by a resident of Dhanbad, not even Karnataka, in Jharkhand state. They have junked it, rejected it, trashed and dismissed it, called it political nonsense, and not just that, questioned the intent of the person who's filed the petition on the same. Also, let us understand here what has happened. When the questions were made to the Home Minister, Mr. Dr. Parmeshwar, that why hasn't the suo motu cognizance taken of this front, he answered it. This was not raised by a police complaint or a written formal complaint. Mr. K.N. Rajanna, the Cooperation Minister, raised it in the floor of the Assembly. So therefore, it lies on him. The onus lies on him to come out, make the complaint. Irrespectively, let me address the issue. Let me set the cat among the pigeon and take the bull by its horns. The fact that many a times that be the Congress party or the BJP or the JDS are questioning on this front, let us understand here that what are politicians afraid of and why do they entail themselves to fall into a trap like a honey trap? The fact of the matter is the accountability lies with them. That is what they need to understand.
Okay, point
and now,
taken.
And then last point. Pinning the blame on a DK Shiv Kumar or calling this or between the Chief Minister, Deputy Chief Minister, I challenge the Bharatiya Janata Party today. Bring out the evidence, sir. Bring out an evidence or substantial proof that this is done by DK Shiv Kumar. Merely piggybacking on the rumor mills is not going to help you.
Anand Gurumurthy.
Challenge your minister.
Piggybacking on rumor mills, he says, everybody is worried. Even the BJP is not interested in a thorough investigation. As serious as that charge, which sort of exposes the dirty side of politics is concerned, it's all purely political statements. No one's really campaigning on this issue.
Number one, if they do a thorough investigation and something comes out of it, we will be the happiest. From BJP side, we will be the happiest to see everybody who is involved, whether it is from the executive or from the... you please keep quiet when I'm talking.
You wait, Syed. You wait, Syed.
You, right?
You've had your turn.
So
go ahead.
Don't get so rattled. Relax.
Okay. No, please. No, that's not the way. Every time you do this. So don't hear from me every time, okay? So please, see, if it happens from a thorough investigation happens, which Congress is not doing, okay, it's very good. But the second thing is, let us see from one more angle. Why did Mr. Rajanna, okay, play this so slyly? Is this a conspiracy of Congress again? Are they trying to hide something? Now, what are they trying to hide? Our suspicion now is the budget was presented. It was a very poorly documented budget. And we have questioned a lot. They want to run away from the answers. That's why Congress is throwing cat among the pigeons, as Syed Abbas is telling. Okay, they are trying to run away from the questions of the opposition regarding the budget. So they did all this. If they are really true to the people, then they have to answer the budget-related question thrown by the opposition BJP, one, in the legislature. And the second thing is they have to also ensure that whatever rumor is being spread by Mr. Rajana, he has to be punished. The CM has to take cognizance of it, remove him from the cabinet. Otherwise, all this, nonsense, people are watching, and people will teach a lesson. Congress, anyway, they are teaching them everywhere. They'll teach them in Karnataka also.
Can I respond to
that point very clear? But no, 1 second, Syed. Before I get a response to it, I want to go into the more substantial issue right now here. Dakshin, you followed Karnataka politics for several decades. Having this statement made in the State Assembly, the fact that there is still 1 week later, there is no categorical probe into the matter, do you think that eventually there will even be a thorough investigation into an issue which seems to be discussed in political circles very, very closely between leaders of what Karnataka's notorious adjustment politics is? But, do you really believe that something categorical, clear will come out of all this, or is it just going to be just this noise and forgotten later?
What you're asking is really $1 million question, because something like this, I cannot recall in the past, except for these allegations about phone tapping and all that, which happened many, many years ago during the time of Hegde, and then, it had its own ramifications. But something like this has never been done before, in the assembly, talking about honey trap allegations, not just for 1 or 2 people, but for 48 people and across the country, goes right to Delhi. So the magnitude of it and the, what it entails is quite a, quite an earthquake if it turns out that there is any substance to it. But what I would still say is that the fact that he made this in the assembly, this cannot be hidden away, or it can't be pushed under the carpet, because there is a certain logic to many of these revelations, and that will need to be followed, because it's not like from tomorrow people will keep quiet. The questions will be asked. This will continue to be to proceed. For instance, this evening, I believe that the state DGP or the Inspector General has asked the CID to look into it. So there is some kind of a movement that has happened, but that's just happened recently, just some time back. So I'm just saying that this cannot be pushed down. It's too big for it to be pushed down. So something is going to come out of this. I don't know what it is, but something is going to come out of this. Yeah.
We'll see, but there will be more politics that will come out of it. We'll have to watch for that as well. But you're saying this cannot be pushed under the carpet. Before I get to the final comments from the political panelists, Sanjay Sahai, as a police officer, do you believe that it is going to be possible even to have a clear and independent investigation into a matter of this nature?
A clear and independent investigation will happen only when some video is leaked. So once the video is leaked, so per force they will have to do the investigation. If the video does not come out in the public domain, I think there is an investigation which is required as to why the political class is behaving in the manner it is. So the motive and the intent is somewhere else. There is absolutely no doubt about it. And as the Delhi fire has showed a variety of things, it's only divine providence which can force an investigation into this, and that can be the leaking of the tape. As far as the general investigation is concerned, it will go into this flip-flop show, and might be even if there is a probe order, of which there are no chances. It has been spoken only because of legislative immunity and not because of any other reason.
Point taken. Syed Asad Abbas and Anand Gurumurthy, 30 seconds to each of you to make your final comments.
Finally, the BJP spokesperson said that all this is happening due to the questions asked by BJP with respect to the budget. I think they need to understand that the state of Karnataka, GDP has grown by 7.4%, agriculture witnessed growth by 4%, and the state GDP has outpaced the national growth by 6.2%. Not just that, many a times they call it the halal budget. They need to understand that as per the Supreme Court's orders and what
Anand Gurumurthy, your 30 seconds now.
BJP state.
I'm sorry.
We are very clear, okay? We are very clear, okay? Investigation should go on in this case. Whatever Congress tries, they are falling in the pit they are digging. Okay, first of all, now they have one more case that they have to investigate. Let them do it thoroughly. Second thing is, let them answer to the people how they are going to give their guarantees, which they cannot. So Congress is a finished case in Karnataka in the coming days.
You have a long way to go,
but
sir.
the Congress disagrees, but that's all we have time for on this show. We'll have another debate again on this Congress-BJP exchange, which plays out all the time. Thanks to all four of you for joining me here on the Southern View this evening. From politics to Malayalam cinema, the big Mohanlal starrer L2 Empuran hit the theatres today. The Prithviraj Sukumaran sequel to the who observes movie business very closely. Girish, what's the buzz on Empuran on day one?
It's amazing. It's super impressive. The numbers is 20.
In that sense?
No, now it has changed. Actually, it was usually that way, but now also there is a huge acceptability of Mohanlal. Of course, after Drishyam was remade, also because of OTT, and there are a lot of television rehash of all the South Indian films because of people. Everybody they know Tobino Thomas, they know Prithviraj Sukumaran. So that is a great way. So it's not limited only to South, but it is now a pan-India phenomenon.
Right, interesting that you say that. I think the lesson really, Girish, is that Southern cinema seems to be conquering the North, but Northern cinema seems to be restricted to the North. It's not yet conquering to the South, which is a good point to smile on for me as a South Indian, but I don't know how you see it from Mumbai's point of view. But thanks very much, Girish, as always, for that perspective on the numbers. Let's see what Empuran does in the days to come. Girish putting those numbers in perspective. That's all we have time for on the Southern View. But having discussed the movie, let's leave you with the trailer of L2 Empuran, the movie that Kerala is watching at the moment.
What are you so happy about?
I've just made a claim. We could be owed thousands.
My claim group?
Yeah, the cars we bought on finance, well, the lenders could have charged hidden commissions. It's dead simple to claim.
Hey, I had 2 cars before we met.
Go to My Claim Group. You could be owed thousands in hidden commissions from cars you bought on finance since 2007, even if you can't remember the details.
Done.
Simple, eh?
Go to My Claim Group now.
Claims made simple.
Who doesn't love a good deal?
Meal deals.
Be rude not to deals. Seal deals? Or a bit of deal or no deal? We've got free-to-play deals with no deposit required. And up to £1,000 to be won every day. Get that good deal feeling only at Tombola.
Right now, UNICEF is supporting millions of children in emergencies around the world. It's what they do. Teams are bringing emergency supplies to children affected by the crisis in Gaza, healthcare and safe spaces for Ukraine's children, and medical supplies for children in Yemen. £10 could help bring safe drinking water and life-saving therapeutic food. Search UNICEF supplies online or text supplies to 85525. Your support brings hope for children caught in crisis.
At Direct Line, we know that for multi-property landlords, sometimes the tiniest of things can turn into way bigger problems. From niggly contract issues to keeping up with ever-changing legislation. That's why Direct Line's landlord insurance offers a 24/7 legal helpline as standard. Because a call with someone could help to make the hairiest of problems feel that little bit smoother. Search Direct Line Landlord Insurance. We're on it.
Just sorted my guaranteed over 50 plan with Sun Life. There's even a cash payout.
Nice one.
It's given me the confidence to look after myself. I've started learning jiu-jitsu.
Come on!
Sorry, love. Sensei's turned me into a lethal weapon.
Do you need a doctor?
Oh, no. With Sun Life, there's no medical questions.
Search Sun Life Plan today and get a free gift card.
Lucky me. It's all good. You have a Tucson. So you can enjoy quiet driving with electric mode. The new Hyundai Tucson plug-in hybrid. 0% APR and 24-hour test drive now available.
The Sharps half-price spring sale is now on. Get Sharps bespoke fitted furniture for every room, from bedrooms to home offices and living spaces. Many ranges are now half price, including our best-selling Shaker range. Our exclusive Space Plus system means twice the storage space of freestanding wardrobes. Plus, you get our industry-beating 15-year guarantee. Don't miss the Sharps half-price spring sale. Book your free home design visit today at sharps.co.uk.
Whatever you need to ask about cancer, Macmillan's free support line is just a call away.
Hello, Macmillan.
Whether it's money,
am I going to lose my job?
Getting on with life,
Can I still go abroad? Get insurance?
or just need someone to listen,
How do I tell them?
our specialist advisors are here to help as often as you need them. Whatever you need to ask, cancer, money, life, call us now on 0808 134 1000.
In today's interconnected world, India's voice is more crucial than ever. When India speaks, the world listens. At NDTV World, we are that voice, bringing you intelligent and insightful news from India and beyond. From geopolitics and diplomacy to economic shifts, migrations, tech disruptions, and the stories of our diaspora. We cover the news that shapes our global future. NDTV World, your new home for global news, is here.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, you're watching NDTV. The opposition has made a big charge at the ruling coalition today, the treasury benches of the Lok Sabha, saying that the House is being run without any regard for traditions that have defined our parliamentary democracy for years. In a letter given to the Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla today, opposition MPs have alleged that there is no deputy speaker since 2019. Consultative committees are not being convened often as is the norm. Parliamentary panels are being put in place without consulting the opposition, and more importantly, the leader of the opposition is not getting rightful opportunities to speak, and that even opposition MPs are not given adequate time. Now, NDA MPs have dismissed these allegations completely, saying that it is the opposition MPs who want to disrupt the House by raising issues that don't really matter to people because they don't want legislative business to run. Now, as journalists covering the parliament, we often see MPs from across parties showing their regard for parliamentary procedures, traditions. So why are these allegations being raised by the opposition? What has been the trigger? Unlike the first half of the budget session that saw aggressive protests by both the BJP and the opposition centered around Babasaheb Ambedkar, this session has actually seen discussions on bills, even their passage, with a larger message that governance is important. But the marker of a functioning democracy is also how vocal the opposition is. Is the opposition actually being silenced, or are these allegations being raised by the opposition only to play the victim here? Should the BJP also indulge in a lot more backroom talks, confidence-building measures? That's all we discussed tonight. We will be joined by a panel of guests, but first, let's show you some reactions.
Issue in 0 hour today. Will they be allowed today?
I to speak, brother. I don't know what we're scared of. Sir, you should say this on camera, sir, please.
इंडिया अलायंस का एक डेलीगेशन शून्यकाल के समय में आदरणीय अध्यक्ष महोदय से मिले और हमने अपनी सामूहिक चिंता और सामूहिक दुख आदरणीय अध्यक्ष महोदय के समक्ष रखा कि किस प्रकार से सत्ता पक्ष सदन की परंपरा, नियमों और संस्कृति का उल्लंघन कर रही है.
I can only say as a member of the Lok Sabha who sits in the Lok Sabha right from morning till it ends in the evening, that whatever allegations that they are making are absolutely false, groundless and far from the truth. The Speaker has been very considerate. Speaker has been giving ample time to all the members of the Parliament. Who prevents Rahul Gandhi ji to speak on the Immigration and Foreigners Bill 2025? Let me ask you. Why 0 hour? He can come up and he can say that he wants to speak on the bill. And who can prevent him? Rahul Gandhi ji, who doesn't even sit in the Lok Sabha. I will just request him, as a member of the Lok Sabha, as his colleague in the Lok Sabha, that he should actually find more time for the Lok Sabha. He should be seated in the Lok Sabha. I want to ask him how many Rule 377 issues he has raised so far. Number two, how many ZOR he's actually uploaded in the members portal. I mean, this is something which I will request all of you to actually get into.
On Mr. Rahul Gandhi's behavior in the parliament, Mr. Rahul Gandhi behaves like an entitled, spoilt prince. Mr. Rahul Gandhi did not even respect or show a parliamentary behavior towards the late Sardar Manmohan Singh when he openly announced the tearing of the ordinance. So what the country can expect, how should he behave towards the BJP and the entire parliament? Mr. Rahul Gandhi is a worst performing parliamentarian in terms of attendance, in terms of asking questions and raising valid questions. Mr. Rahul Gandhi is only interested in making noise and not indulging in serious politics.
Arun Nehru, an MP from the DMK in Tamil Nadu, joins us. Thank you, Mr. Nehru, for joining us on this debate. My first question to you, sir, would you agree with the allegations that have been raised by some opposition MPs that parliamentary traditions are being ignored and that the opposition does not get enough time to speak? Because at least this session, the DMK raised a lot of points, and although there was a lot of back and forth, you had speakers who spoke from your end.
Madam, it's good evening, first of all. What you have to understand is one small data point. UPA 2 had a minimum of 108 working days, madam, parliamentary working days. NDA 1 had nearly 70. NDA 2 had 57. And I think they're on track to, to match or actually be lower than 57 days. So imagine that based on the numbers that they have, you have more time based on the numbers. So opposition, being the opposition, already has very little time to discuss issues. And time and again, there have been attempts by the ruling party to stifle the opinion and the voices. And most of these were incidentary speeches. It's not even issue-based speeches that were, done by the ruling party in order to instigate the opposition into the well. So ruling party, being the ruling party, should actually give the benefit of doubt to the opposition and hear the opposition out. And we have been telling from day one that we want discussion. We want debates to go on. And when they instigate the opposition by, passing really not so parliamentary remarks on members of the opposition, it doesn't bode well for for such an old institution like the parliament.
Mr. Nehru, there's also this important allegation that standing committees are not independent anymore and that, the working of the standing committees is not autonomous anymore and that the Speaker's office has some interference. That's the allegation that the opposition has raised. And the opposition is also saying that the opposition is not consulted in the formation of these committees as has been the tradition earlier. We know that DMK leaders, including Tiruchi Shiva or Kanimoyi, also head committees. A lot of these standing committee reports, I was looking at them, don't really have dissent notes. So then how do you see the allegations by the opposition that standing committees are not working as they did in the past?
So the Speaker's office had a lot of discretion with respect to the committees and the reports that are being filed to the Parliament for public consumption. But of late, it has been customary to have the agenda that is being set, very I think, towards the government and not any dissent or, for that matter, any clear public opinion coming into the reports. And the Speaker's office constitutionally has a lot of power in deciding, what to let in, what not to let in. And customary has been that dissent notes has always been part and parcel of the, the democracy that we are in. But of late, I think even that dissent is being stifled with, many directions coming to many committees, right from shrinking the agendas to even restricting the topics to be discussed, or for that matter, certain departments which really don't, follow the constitution requirement that the committee needs to be answered to. So I think that kind of creates a very strong negative sentiment for the public to know the data from, third-party, organizations like the committee, which help the government and which help members of the public to know how the democracy is functioning pretty well.
Right. Thank you, Mr. Nehru, for joining us and for making those points. Let's listen into what the BJP also has to say about this. Thank you, Mr. Nehru, for joining us on this broadcast. We have Tom Vadakkan from the BJP. We also have Adil Singh Boparai from the Congress Party and Neerja Chaudhary, senior journalist and author, joining us now. Thank you, all of you, for joining me on this show. Tom Vadakkan, you heard the DMK spokesperson. We'll also get BJP ministers in a bit, and also the chief whip. But Mr. Vadakkan, several charges are being raised by the opposition here. Let's start with some basic questions that they're raising. The appointment of a deputy Lok Sabha speaker, considering the House is different this time with a significant opposition presence, why not do that to ensure that the opposition does not feel that it is being unheard?
Well, with the speaker in his chair, the kind of disrespect they have been showing, a deputy speaker will only be an add-on. The reason they talk about a convention, for the last two sessions, we did not see a deputy speaker. And in 2019 to 24, you had Mr. Annadurai, AIDMK, an NDA alliance member. So this is not about, the Constitution doesn't say that a person has to be appointed by a particular date. So we will see as the kind of cooperation we'll see from them. We'll examine the matter as time progresses. We are not taking a hardcore position at this juncture. But there has to be, it takes two hands to clap. And what Mr. Rahul Gandhi is doing, as I call him, a prime heckler in Parliament. What is the context of these 12 points that the opposition has written to the Speaker? Let me address the issue from why it has happened. This gentleman, the LOP, walks into Parliament in his own style. There is a member speaking from his own party. He walks up to his sister, touches her cheek. Now, this is, and the Speaker was surprised at this move because there's a protocol. You come and bow before the Speaker and then you walk up and there is a Speaker speaking from your own party. You're not bothered. You go and show your affection to your sister. It could be a sister, it could be an uncle, it could be an auntie, it could be a mother, it could be a daughter. That's not the issue. The place for affection is your drawing room, okay? If you have not been spending quality time with your relatives, that's your problem. Parliament is not a place where you can, a wife may be there, a husband may be there in Parliament, but that's not the place to display affection. There's a decorum. A parliamentarian is being watched by the whole nation.
Sides to that, I think, I would sort of disagree with that because, I completely respect your view. But, apart from that, the other allegations that the opposition has raised, some of them seem valid, especially the appointment of a deputy speaker, which you rightly addressed also. Adil Singh Boparai, what do you want to say responding to Tom Vadakkan? Because, I also wanted to ask you this question. If you say that standing committees are not working independently, why do I not see more dissent notes in the reports that have been submitted by the standing committees?
Vasudha, this issue is far too critical to be lost in political din and allegation and counter-allegation. In a democracy, the parliament is the lifeblood. The parliament is the forum which represents 1.4 billion people. Now, of course, we have ideological differences with the BJP. But the fact of the matter is that this forum must allow free flow and exchange of comments and points of view. The position of the presiding officers of the House is a very exalted position. The Speaker of the House or the Chairman of the Rajya Sabha cannot be partisan in any manner whatsoever. Because at the end of the day, they must exhibit and demonstrate objectivity and fair-handedness. Unfortunately, what we notice is that time and again, the opposition's voice is being stifled. The opposition's voice is being suppressed.
Okay.
in an environment where the ruling dispensation starts using its brute majority and even wants to abridge or extinguish a contrary point of view, I think that is antithetical to democracy.
But Adil, it's not a brute majority anymore because, you also have 99 MPs. But when it comes to the, this election or selection of a deputy Lok Sabha speaker, I've not really seen the Congress push this also. So, clearly there seems to be some reluctance on the part of the Congress to ensure that these issues are put in place. Let me get Neerja here, ma'am. How do you see the constant sparring between the opposition and the BJP? And this time in this letter, they're saying that old-fashioned traditions are being neglected. Do you think that the BJP also needs behind-the-scenes confidence-building measures that we have seen in the past?
Look, spats and standoffs between the opposition and the ruling side in Parliament is nothing new. We've known it for decades. But there seems to be a growing bitterness between the two sides, which is vitiating the whole atmosphere and the functioning of Parliament. And one sometimes thinks, are we headed towards a breakdown? And it's not a happy situation now. Whether or not the Congress and the opposition are justified in feeling that LOP has not been allowed to have a say, that standing committees are not functioning fairly or impartially, or that Business Advisory Committee is not functioning properly and the views of the opposition are not taken on board in terms of fixing things in Parliament. Those are very serious charges to make. And even if it's only a perception, I think it's the ruling side, the ruling party that has to ensure that Parliament runs smoothly and fairly. So I think some initiative is called for. You may call it unreasonable on the part of the opposition, but if Parliament has to function properly, and that is so, Parliament is the heartbeat of India's democracy, then the initiative, some kind of a new initiative has to come from the ruling side, and particularly from the chair, Lok Sabha Speaker and the chair of the Rajya Sabha,
when they
get
say
them
that
across the table and find a
when
way
they say
out.
that traditions are being unfollowed or there's a departure from traditions, when the LOP stands, he gets a chance to speak, or that the BAC, the Business Advisory Council, is sacrosanct. The opposition says that it was not told about the Prime Minister's statement last week, or that the consultative committees are not being held. What used to happen in the past? Why is the opposition constantly talking about traditions being broken here?
I think, I don't remember complaints coming that the standing committees or the consultative committees were not working well. Those were fora where they seemed to work well for all their differences in the House. And whole sessions would be wiped out. But standing committees and consultative committees, that kind of criticism didn't come earlier. Other kinds of things, yes, they're not allowed to have a say, not allowed to have a discussion, or the opposition view is not being taken on board, therefore they don't allow the House to function. Those things we have seen, session after session, year after year. And Parliament being used, there is a place for street politics. Parliament wasn't meant to be that, but Parliament was often used to send a signal across to their constituencies. But what the opposition is now saying about standing committees...
Okay, I'm sorry to interrupt you, Neerja, ma'am. We have a special guest joining us now. Thank you all of you for joining me on this broadcast. Sanjay Jaiswal, the Chief Whip of the 18th Lok Sabha BJP leader and also BJP MP, joins us now. Thank you, Sanjay ji, for joining us on this broadcast. My first question to you, sir. Opposition has raised some serious charges saying that the leader of the opposition is not allowed to speak and that traditions are being broken. How do you see this?
The problem with LOP is that he doesn't know parliamentary procedure. He doesn't have even a faint idea that how parliamentary procedures run. Whenever he has stood up, he is allowed to speak. But there are some norms. Like when a minister or prime minister gives a suo moto reply, then nobody can ask questions to it.